front page of the New York Times this morning, has a new report on, quote, a trend that is quietly reworking the fabric of the American labor force. According to the paper, a wave of baby boomers has recently aged past 65. Unlike older Americans who, in the decade after the Great Recession, delayed their retirements to earn a little bit of extra money and patch up tenuous finances, many today are leaving the job market and staying out. That has big implications for the economy because it is contributing to a labor shortage that policymakers worry is keeping wages and inflation stubbornly elevated. That could force the Federal Reserve to raise rates more than it otherwise would, risking a recession. But it's what comes after people have decided to retire that's interested our next guest. In his new book, titled The Third Act, Reinventing Your Next Chapter, author Josh Sapan sat down with dozens who reached or passed retirement age, speaking with them about why they have decided to hit the gas pedal during the years when most slow down. Josh joins us now. Also with us is one of the many people profiled in the book, co-founder of the Bronx Children's Museum, Hope Harley. And Hope, I'm told it's your birthday, so happy birthday. Hope.
Thank you.
So Josh, we'll start with you. We'll get to the birthday girl in a second. You were just left your career running AMC Network, so you yourself are engaging in a next act. Is that what fueled this book?
It is exactly what fueled the act. Beginning 4 years ago, I thought, what will I do? And I began to observe friends and colleagues who were doing sort of wonderful things when others were retiring in more classical ways if they had the means. And I found it frankly astounding, and I'm sitting next to someone who's a representative of that astounding. We didn't know one another, although we later discovered that we were born within 3 weeks of each other and within several blocks of each other in Brooklyn. But she is a perfect example, Hope Harley, of how to hit the gas pedal.
So Hope, tell us about your experiences.
Well, I retired in 2007, actually. It was an early retirement. I'm not that old. But at the time, I was involved with an organization that a group of people who wanted to fill the void of a children's museum in the Bronx. Bronx was the only borough without a children's museum at that time. And so we banded together and didn't know really what we were doing, but we made it through and got a 501c3 and eventually hired someone in early 2010, and it turned out to be the thing to do because she really hit the gas pedal for us and got us on the map. So we just opened our building here 12 years later. But during those 12 years, we were programming all the time. We were in schools, we were in daycare centers, we were with community-based organizations. And we really grew this museum from, as I say, the outside in. We didn't wait to have a building and then do outreach. Our programming came from the outside.
Well, that's a beautiful third act and something that all of us can enjoy when we need to take our children somewhere to burn off their energy and hopefully get them a little education too. What big lessons did you learn when you were writing this book? What made people happiest when they contemplated their third act and when they chose a new mission?
Yeah, well, far be it from me to be an authority, but there did seem to be a few things that were thematic. And once again, they're embodied right here to my left, which is to either accidentally or with great intention find an interest and a passion and become consumed by it and then see it realized. And really, I'll just mention that Hope had, if I have it straight, a bus that was a sort of famous bus that was the museum that would travel around. I think it was purple.
Purple,
and that began what it was. And so I'll just, her story is just a perfect story of someone who worked at Verizon for 28 years and found this activity that she found consuming and generative and satisfying. And I think that's true for 60 other people in the book. But right in the flesh is someone who really is doing it as we speak this very moment. And as she said, just open the three-dimensional doors of this wonderful institution.
Yes, we were operating as a museum without walls.
Wow, wow. It's just so fascinating on so many levels. Baby boomers have been so central to how the country has evolved over these so many decades. What does it mean? I mean, the importance of the book and for what you've done for this generation, this cohort that has been so transformative to be transitioning to this next phase of their lives, right? As the country is still going through these changes. So the book is speaking to something broader, right? Not just simply to individual choices. So if both of you could talk about what does it mean for this generation that has been at the heart of change in the country, now to be transitioning to this third act? What are you saying at that level in some ways?
Well, it does seem that there are so many people in the population, and will be so many people in the population in that age, that it almost by definition has to be important. It may be self-defining, and I think that there's a huge opportunity, which is to say, not to say that there's ageism and people would say, oh, that person's old, forget him. But there is this huge tens and tens and tens of millions of people who can do wonderful things when they otherwise might be kicking back. And not that there's anything wrong with it, because I worked in television, watching television, being passive. And they really can be active and activist, and they can be fantastic contributors.
And I do think that in my parents' generation, my parents at my age were considered old, and I don't feel old. I feel that I still have something to contribute, and I'm sure that's the case for all of the people in the book, obviously, because they did. So I don't think that I didn't look at retirement as the end of something, but it was the opportunity to do.
And of course, we should note this reinvention, so central to what Mika's doing. 50 over the know your value, 50 over 50. So we appreciate you both being here. Happy birthday. The new book is titled The Third Act, Reinventing Your Next Chapter. Josh Chapin, thank you. And Hope Harley, thank you.